Hey team, Yasin here, and in this training, we're going to be going over tech fundamentals. Now, this training is going to be absolutely critical as a part of your foundations module because at the end of the day, we are building a six-figure career online using technology. And so it's going to be absolutely critical to make sure that you have your technology set up properly, okay? So with that being said, let's go ahead and dive right in. So the very first question that you might have is, what are tech fundamentals, right? So again, we're continuing with our theme of this module with getting your foundation set up for a six-figure career online with remote wellness. And like we just said, if you're going to be making six figures income online, then you're going to need to know the fundamentals of computers and technology. Now, even if you're rolling your eyes with me right now and listening to me and saying, I already know as much as I need to know about this. Trust me, stick with me. This is going to be extremely, extremely helpful for you because at the end of the day, even if you learned a little bit more about the jargon, the terminology about this, it's going to help you so much in your career and it's going to translate literally to hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars extra in your bank account as a result of this training, okay? Now, the other thing I want to go ahead and point out before we get rocking and rolling here is false beliefs around technology, okay? Because I cannot tell you how many students that we've had come through our programs and so many people tell themselves, oh man, I'm not good at technology or I hate technology, okay? This is what we call a false belief, okay? Anything that is an I am statement, as you speak over yourself, right? They become a part of your identity. Now, you're gonna learn more about how harmful these I am statements are when we get to the brain training module. But the reason I want you to know is that the reason I want you to understand that anybody is good at anything in the world is because they have spent the repetition needed to learn it, okay? And so the reason that you may not be good, quote unquote, right now at technology compared to others is because you probably haven't put as much repetition and haven't had as much exposure to it, right? Like think about it, before 2007, right, less than 15 years ago, no one knew how to use a smartphone, right? And then Steve Jobs came out with the iPhone, the very first smartphone. And then now there's 80-year-olds who know how to use it. And the reason for that is because the exposure to this device became so much that people understand how to use it now, okay? So it's literally just exposure. The more reps you have, the more repetition you have with technology, the better you're gonna be able to get at it. And I promise you that, okay? Plus, if you're really gonna be able to make an income online, it's probably best if you don't tell yourself that you're not good with technology and literally you're going to be using it in order to make an income, right? So it serves you better to be able to say, hey, you know what? Right now, I'm not the best at technology, right? Or my preference isn't with technology, but I'm getting better at it, right? So when you speak differently to yourself, you will get different outcomes as well, okay? Now, on top of that, the next thing I want to go ahead and highlight on here is the analogy of a toolbox. And this was something that took me quite a long time to learn, and I think it's going to serve you understanding this from the very beginning, is that if you went to a carpenter and you asked him, hey, Mr. Carpenter, why do you have like 5 different screwdrivers? Like you only need one screwdriver, like screwdrivers do one thing, right? He would tell you that he has a different use case for every single one of those screwdrivers, right? One screwdriver is a little bit smaller, one's a little bit bigger, one's a little bit X, another one's a little bit Y. And because he's a professional, he has different uses for his tools than someone who might only use a screwdriver once a month, okay? And so in the same way, you are going to be an online six-figure income earner who's a professional, right? And so what you want to do is you want to see technology and softwares and all that kind of stuff as your tools, okay? And so there are going to be many different tools that you're going to have inside of your toolbox as a online six-figure earner. Now, don't worry. We're gonna have in-depth, step-by-step tutorials for all these different tools in the future, okay? So don't worry about it. You're like, oh, what am I gonna do with all these tools, da-da-da-da. Don't worry. We're gonna literally walk you through everything. You're gonna have the skill set to understand how to use these tools, okay? But the important thing to remember here is that the goal of these tools is to help us get a certain job done, okay? If the tool starts to distract us or starts to cause us to work less efficiently or causes us noise or causes us, frustration, then that might not be the tool for us. And so at the end of the day, there is no such thing as a right or wrong tool. There's just a tool for the person who's using it in order to get the job done, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and talk about a number of fundamental things that we're gonna talk about here, but I wanna emphasize, don't get romantic about the tool, right? The tool is irrelevant. The tool is just a means by which we actually get the job done. One tool might work better for me because of my preference in the way that I like to do things. Another tool might work better for you, right? And so that is the main frame that I want you to keep in mind as we go through this, is don't get romantic about the tools, just see them as tools and just get the job done, whatever works best for you, okay? Now, I'm gonna make some strong recommendations in the fundamentals. Maybe the fundamental tools, you might have to stick with my recommendations on, but any other tools, you can make sure that you go ahead and look at them according to the purpose. So without further ado, let's go ahead and dive right into the very first section of this training, which is going to be all about computer fundamentals, okay? Now, some of you might be going through this entire module actually, right? You're going through the foundations and you're saying, man, these people are talking to me about clearing my clutter. They're talking to you about tech fundamentals, right? They're talking to me about all of this stuff that isn't related yet to making money in remote wellness. Like, where's the money? Let's just make the money. Listen to me. We've literally taught hundreds and thousands of students be able to make an income online. And there's a reason why you've probably gone through other courses and they don't teach you this stuff and their students aren't as successful. And the reason is because they don't set the foundation for you to be successful. So please have patience with us as we work through these foundations, because I promise you they're going to serve you for the rest of your life and they're going to be absolutely critical, okay? So the first one that we're going to talk about is computer fundamentals. Now, with computer fundamentals, what I want you to know is that as someone who makes six figures online, right? You're going to be somebody who makes six figures online. The number one tool that is important to look at is going to first be your computer, okay? Now, there are many different types of devices that you can use in order to consume this training and build your new career, okay? There's many different devices. You could use a desktop computer, you could use a laptop computer, you can use a tablet computer. I mean, heck, you could even use your phone. I would argue do not use your phone, and I'm gonna talk to you more about that here in a second. But also within these categories, okay? Within these categories, we have multiple different types, okay? There's desktop computers. Those are the things that sit on your actual computer, right? They actually sit on your desk. And there's things like Windows desktop computers. There's Apple iMac desktops. Then there's laptop computers, right? Windows laptops, and they're made by a number of manufacturers, HP, Dell, etc. There's Apple MacBook laptops, Google Chromebooks. And then within tablet computers, there's Windows tablets and Apple iPad tablets and all that kind of stuff, okay? Now, it's important for you to take a look at the tool that you're going to be using in order to create your new income online and see if it's quote unquote good enough. Okay, that's going to be something that you do as an action step inside of this training, because if you're going to be spending a lot of time on this device, which you are going to be because you're going to be building an income online, if it's slow and if it doesn't work well, if you don't enjoy using it, if you get frustrated when you use it, then it's going to cost you literally millions of dollars lost over the course of your entire career, okay? And I'm gonna go ahead and say this very clearly. I'm gonna go ahead and say this very bluntly, okay? Because some students, sometimes they think they can prove me wrong and then they end up falling flat on their face every single time, which is you cannot build a six-figure income off of your phone or iPad tablet. I'm gonna say that again. You cannot build a six-figure income off of your phone or iPad tablet, okay? You're gonna need something to work on that is solid. You're gonna need a desktop computer, or according to the recommendation I'm about to make to you in a second, a laptop computer. That is gonna be absolutely essential for you inside of this entire journey, okay? So the question you might be asking is, which one should you buy? Well, this is going to really depend on a number of factors, okay? This is going to depend on things like preference, your budget, your experience, that kind of stuff. Overall, though, we would recommend having a laptop, okay? It's going to be the most flexible for you, and it's going to also include a webcam built in. That's going to be good for you, okay? And then if you're looking to purchase a new computer, right? And if you're on a budget, the one that we would recommend if you're looking to purchase a new computer is the Apple MacBook Air M1, okay? And then inside of the resource guide, I've gone ahead and included a link as well if you wanna check that out. It's gonna look something like this, okay? Now, in my opinion, I've been looking at computers for years and decades. It's pretty much the best computer ever created. If you have a bigger budget, you can even explore the other M1 MacBooks. And then it only costs about $800, okay? And you might be like, $800 only? That's a lot of money. Well, I'll talk to you more about that here in a second as well, okay? Now, the important thing to know about this is that even if you've never used a Apple computer before, don't worry, you're gonna get a hang of it. I want you to just trust me if you're gonna be looking to buy a new computer. I'm not saying you have to go buy a new computer for the sake of this training. Do not misunderstand me. What I'm saying is that if you are like, you know what, I've been wanting to upgrade my computer for a while, this is gonna be something that you can do. Just make sure that it is the M11, okay? M1 MacBook Air, okay? Personally, I was a Windows person for most of my life. I switched to an Apple computer a couple years ago. Best decision I ever made, okay? Now, there are other recommendations that I can make regarding RAM and hard drive, and if you don't know what any of that is, it's okay. We're gonna help you get through that. But because a lot of that depends on your budget, I would highly recommend that you go ahead and post inside of the student community. If you are looking to purchase a new laptop, then we can help you, okay? The biggest thing though is that before you purchase it, either at the Apple Store or online or whatever, if you're gonna purchase one, I would highly recommend, because it's such an important decision, I would recommend that you let us know in the student community so we can help you make the decision of which computer you want to buy, or any other. It doesn't have to be the Apple computer if you don't want it. We don't make any money off of this, but I just want to go ahead and let you know that it is a very important decision. Okay, so please make sure that you consult us if you are looking to buy a new computer. Again, you don't have to buy a new computer for the sake of this training. It's just if you are looking to buy one. Now, the other point you might be saying is, but wait a second, Coach Yasin, only $800, that's a lot. Here's one thing I want to go ahead and tell you, okay? The laptop that I'm currently using in order to record this is what is called a 16-inch Apple MacBook Pro. It has 32 gigs of RAM, a 1 terabyte hard drive. If you don't know what any of that means, don't worry about it. Basically, they're just very high-end specs, okay? This laptop cost me $4,000, okay? And I bought this about a year and a half ago, maybe, right? Now, do you know how much money I've made with this laptop over the last year and a half since I've had this? Literally over $1 million. And I'm not saying that to hyperbolize it or make it seem grandiose. I'm telling you literally over $1 million off of this $4,000 machine, okay? And all of that would not have been possible without this computer. So was it a good $4,000 spent if I made over $1 million off of it? I'm not even going to answer that question, right? Do I even have to answer that question? So I just want you to understand how big of an important investment this is if you're going to be making an income online. Phenomenal. Let's go ahead and next, let's talk about email providers. Now, email providers are basically where you get your email from. Why is that important, Coach Yasin? Very good question, right? There's a number of email providers that are out there. There's things like Apple, iPhone, Mail, Gmail, Outlook, Yahoo, da-da-da-da-da. Which one is the most popular and which one is the best? Well, I have a couple of data on here, as you can see on the screen, right? So Apple iPhone email providers are the most popular, probably because of everybody just gets it with their iPhone. However, Gmail is the second one, and then it's not even worth considering third, fourth, fifth. And if you have a Yahoo Mail, and I'm crossing yours out right now, I'm gonna tell you why that is important in a second, okay? Because Apple does not have work tools, right? Like Gmail does, like we're going to talk about here later in this training here in a second. So if you have an Apple iPhone email, you're pretty much stuck on their platform and you don't have any tools that you can use as a part of the email that comes with you. Versus if you have a Gmail account, then you also have something that's called a Google account, okay? Because a Gmail and a Google account are exactly the same. And so what that means is that you get access to the entire Google suite that we're going to talk about here in a second, and you get all of that for absolutely free. Okay. And so, like I said, Gmail equals your Google account. Okay. And so this is not from before. I'm going to put it right here. We will talk about this in a second. We will talk about this shortly. Okay. And so this is why my strong recommendation for you, if you do not already have a Gmail, if you're still using a Yahoo, if you're using an Apple iPhone, if you're using an Outlook, whatever that might be, a Hotmail, I would strongly encourage you to have a Google account. And because of the fact that you're going to be able to get access to all of the tools that we use, even this guide that I'm recording this on right now, all of this is in Google Docs. And so with Google Docs, you can then open up and you can edit notes and you can save notes, and all of the recommendations we give you in this program are going to be based off of G Suite. And so having a Gmail is going to serve you very, very, very well. Okay, so that is email providers. Let's go ahead and next talk about online income tools. I love it. Let's talk about online income tools. So there are two primary office tool suites that are foundational for you to understand if you plan on building a career online, okay? So the very first one is called Google Suite, G Suite, versus Microsoft Office, Office 365, okay? Now, both of these are what they call cloud-based. And what cloud-based basically means is that unlike back in the day, you might remember back when, if you were in school, or if you remember, really back in the day, you basically had to save every file on your computer. But in today's world, everything pretty much lives in the cloud, which means that it basically lives on the internet, and how you access it through your browser, okay? And we'll talk more about browsers here in a second. And literally what I want to emphasize here is that between these two, G Suite and Office 365, they're pretty much identical in that you can see here, G Suite has something called Google Docs, Microsoft Word. Google Slides is just PowerPoint. Google Sheets is just Microsoft Excel, right? Google Drive is just SharePoint. Gmail is just Outlook. Google Calendar is just Outlook Calendar. And so they're very much identical. So you might be more familiar with terms like, oh, I'm going to make a PowerPoint today. Well, that's just the name of the brand. It's kind of like Kleenex is the name of the brand. You use tissues, right? Same thing here is just Google Slides. And so that's why they're kind of very similar in that perspective, okay? Now, which one should you use, and what is the recommendation that we are going to have for you inside of this program? Well, traditional companies, right, they're kind of old, they're slow, they have very high security requirements. They love things like Microsoft and Outlook, okay? However, these two are very, very, very competitive, okay? And so you'll find that most new age online incomes, business opportunities and that kind of stuff, what we're using G Suite, okay? And that's us included. We primarily run our entire business off of G Suite, okay? And so especially if you're gonna be doing your email through Gmail, and especially if you're gonna be using the browser that we recommend here in a second, then if that's the case, we would highly recommend that you use G Suite, because all of it is just integrated. It's a lot easier. It's easier to share. And it just makes sure that you're all integrated under one company. And then on top of that, Google is the only company that really has all of the top products, right? So it has Gmail, Chrome, G Suite, versus if you decided to use Microsoft 365, but you're going to use a Gmail, you'd have to use Outlook with this. It kind of gets all messy, okay? And then on top of that, if you have a Gmail, then you automatically have a G Suite completely for free. Really, really awesome there, okay? So that is the online income tools. Very, very important to understand as you start your journey in the online income space. Next, let's talk about browsers. What is a browser? A browser is basically what you use in order to access the internet. There are a number of browsers that are out there, things like Chrome and Safari and Firefox and Microsoft Edge and so many others, right? And you're like, Coach Yasin, does any of this really matter? Like, come on, can we just get to the money-making stuff? Like, can you just teach me how to get clients? Like, can you just teach me sales? Can you just teach me marketing? No, because this is so absolutely critical. Now, let's talk about what browser you want to make sure that you have so that way you can make an income online, okay? So Chrome is typically installed on Android devices, and you typically have to install it yourself. Safari is the type of browser that's automatically installed on Apple devices like iPhones, Macs, that kind of stuff. And then there's Firefox, which pretty much nobody uses. I'll talk to you about that here in a second. And then there's Microsoft Edge, which used to be called Internet Explorer, okay? Now, you can see here, I have a graph on the screen right now, and the graph is showing you literally the percentage of people that have what browser. And so you can see that 65% of the internet is based on Chrome. Then the second one is Safari, which is 16%, and this is probably just because it's automatically installed on iPhones, and iPhone is the most popular phone in the US. So that just shows you that most of the internet is pretty much optimized for Google Chrome. And the crazy thing about this is that Google Chrome, you have to install manually yourself. It doesn't naturally come with your computer. Whether you have a Windows computer or an Apple computer, you will have to install this yourself, okay? And so a lot of our training portal, a lot of the Chrome extensions that I'm about to recommend to you, they are going to be based off of Google Chrome. So you want to make sure that you are using Google Chrome as your default browser, okay? And so what you want to do is, if you don't have Google Chrome right now, I've gone ahead and included the link. You can also just download Google Chrome, and pretty much all of the other browsers that exist, don't even worry about them. Like, they're not even worth trying to experiment with. Like, just stick with Google Chrome. It's the best, and then you'll be good to go. And then again, G Suite, Gmail, Chrome, you're seeing a theme here. They have some of the best products to be able to build the income that you're looking for online. I love it. Next up, let's talk about browser bookmarks, okay? So this is a subcategory underneath browsers. And what browser bookmarks are is basically they are an easy way in order for you to save URLs. And a URL is basically that, www dot whatever. That's a URL address, okay? And so it's browser bookmarks essentially allow you to save a certain URL address so it's easy for you to come back to in the future. So it allows you to have it all in one place. And this is honestly, using browser bookmarks, they're absolutely critical if you want to be serious with your online income. And that's why I'm talking to you about it inside of the foundations, okay? So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to cut to a quick tutorial on browser bookmarks so you can understand how to go ahead and have a browser bookmark set up with the folders and all that, so that way you're nice and organized before we actually go ahead and help you make six figures online. So I'm going to go ahead and cut into that now. All right, let's go ahead and talk about browser bookmarks. So as you can see right now, you should be able to see my entire Chrome window. And so bookmarks are basically the thing that sits underneath your URL address bar. And again, this is all going to apply to Google Chrome. So make sure you are using Google Chrome like we talked about earlier in the training. Okay, so this is your URL address bar right here. And then right underneath is going to be sitting your bookmarks bar. Okay, now if your bookmarks bar is not showing up, you can click on these three dots right here, and then you can click on bookmarks, and then you can click on show bookmarks bar right there. Okay, so that's going to allow you to see the bookmarks right there. Now in Google Chrome, how you create a bookmark is basically you go ahead and on the right side of the address bar, there is this little star. When you click on this little star, it's going to go ahead and say bookmark added. What do you want to name it? And then what folder do you want to put it in, right? Do you want to put it on the main bookmarks bar, which is going to show up like this? Or do you want to go ahead and put it in one of the folders that you've already gone ahead and created, right? So you can create a folder, you can put it in other bookmarks, whatever that might look like. And then if you click on more, it's going to actually show up a little bit of a bigger extension on here. So that way you can say, okay, you know what? I got these folders. I want to put this bookmark inside of one of these folders. But let's say, for example, for this, I just want to leave it on my bookmarks bar. I click on save, and right there, that is my bookmark that I just created. And so then if I open up a new tab right here, you'll see that I have my new tab. And then if I click on this bookmark, it's going to take me back to that URL address that I was at before. Beautiful. Now, what you can do is you can go ahead and create, you can also delete bookmarks. You just right click on them and then you can delete them from there. And then you can also create folders for yourself, right? So let's say, for example, I had some trainings that I come back to. I'm going to go ahead and right click on the bookmarks bar. And then from there, I'm going to go ahead and click on add folder. And then I can go ahead and create a folder. Let's say this is RWA training, right? And then boom, it's going to show up right there. And then I can go ahead and bookmark this. I'm going to say I'm going to put this in RWA training, done. And then right there, it shows up under RWA training, right? And then that way I can go to, let's say, one of the trainings. Let's say, for example, I go to this one here. I want to bookmark this. I go ahead and star, make sure that's an RWA training, click on done, and then it shows up right there, okay? Now, the other thing I want to go ahead and show you real quick is the bigger version of the bookmarks manager. So if you right click on the bookmarks toolbar right here, the bookmarks bar, and then you go down here to bookmark manager. Okay, if you click on bookmark manager, what it's going to do is going to bring you over to this screen, and this screen is going to have kind of the bigger version of all of the bookmarks, right? So you can come in here and say, okay, I want to look at RWA training. I have these bookmarks in here. I want to edit this one. I can rename it. I can, edit the address, whatever that might look like. So that's how that would work. Now, while we're on here as well, what I will show you real quick is if you hit these three dots, you can actually open up Windows in incognito mode as well, okay? And what incognito mode is it basically, as you can see, it's basically doesn't store any history. It doesn't store any cookies. This is good whenever you're trying to test something. Let's say, for example, you want to test a browser and you want to kind of log in. So if I go to Gmail, you'll see it's like as if I don't have it logged into anything. And so that's what an incognito window is. And then this is the bookmarks bar, okay? So that's the tutorial on how to use the bookmarks bar. My recommendation is to keep it clean, keep it up to date. So that way, remember, your internal world is a reflection of your external world and vice versa. So you wanna make sure that everything is clean. So that is the tutorial. And then with that being said, let's go ahead and jump right back into the main training. All right, welcome back. So now you know how to be able to use browser bookmarks. The next thing that you want to go ahead and understand about browsers is something called Chrome extensions, okay? What are Chrome extensions? So Chrome extensions or browser extensions in general, are basically like mini softwares that live inside of your web browser, okay? And so normally, if you think of a normal software, you typically have to download it onto your computer. However, with extensions, you instead download them into your browser, right? And we just talked about browser, Safari, Chrome. You're going to be using Chrome going forward. And these extensions, they live in your browser, okay? Now, there's millions of extensions that are out there that do so many things, different tools, different things that you can do with them. There's a billion of them, right? But there are going to be 3 that are going to be non-negotiable Chrome extensions for you to download. And I'm going to go ahead and include those links inside of the guide of this training. And then I'm also going to go ahead and cut to a training that's going to explain these 3 non-negotiable Chrome extensions, as well as how to download them and how to use Chrome extensions as a whole. So without further ado, let's go ahead and cut to that now. All right, quick tutorial on Chrome extensions. So like we talked about, Chrome extensions are little softwares that live inside of your browser. So if you are using Chrome, which you should be, how you can access your Chrome extensions is by using this little jigsaw icon that's right here. You click on this, you can see if you put your mouse over, it says extensions. You click on that and that'll show you all of the extensions that you have. And then you can use one of these pins in order to go ahead and pin it to the main bar over here, right? So if I go ahead and let's say video speed controller, I pin it, you'll see that it shows up right there, and then I can unpin it as well. So it's still activated, it's just showing that it's hidden right now. And then I can go ahead and click on manage extensions. It's gonna show me all the extensions that I have. I can disable them, delete them, remove them, all that kind of stuff. So you can see it's kind of like having many different softwares inside of your browser. Now, 3 of the extensions that we are going to recommend for you inside of this training that are basically non-negotiable is the first one is called AdBlock Plus. What this does is it basically removes all ads on pretty much all the sites. So on YouTube, you're not going to get any ads anymore. On Facebook, you're not going to get any ads anymore. On different websites, you're not going to get any ads anymore. And so that way, it not only saves you time, but saves your attention as well, okay? And so the link is inside of the guide. All you got to do, let me show you if I remove it, you'll see what it looks like on here, okay? So all you got to do is once you open that page up, you just click on Add to Chrome, and then you click Add Extension, and then it's just going to go ahead and install it just like that. You see, it's just like a mini software. And then once that is installed, don't worry about any of this. It's completely free. They're just asking for a donation. And then you can just close out the tab. Now, even though you don't see it on here, it is actually installed because it is right here. Beautiful. That's all you got to do. The next one is called Newsfeed Eradicator. Now, this one is going to be so absolutely critical. And we're actually going to have a completely separate training regarding the importance of this specific Chrome extension. But again, just like the other one, you're going to go ahead and just open it up, click on Add to Chrome, download it, and it's going to show up. Okay. But the reason mine says remove from Chrome is because I already have mine installed. Now, what this one does is you'll see if I go over to facebook.com, what Newsfeed Eradicator does is Newsfeed Eradicator actually goes ahead and removes the newsfeed. And you'll say, hey, wait a second, why in the world would I want to remove my newsfeed? The reason is because it's literally a black hole of doom. Like it's literally just distraction. And so Newsfeed Eradicator will remove the newsfeed on there. And then you can actually change the settings on this if you would like, right? If you wanted to go ahead and maybe disable it for a short period of time, you click on the jigsaw puzzle, click on Newsfeed Eradicator, and it'll show you that you can eradicate the newsfeed from multiple different sites, right? So from YouTube, it'll go ahead and remove it. From LinkedIn, you can remove it from Reddit, XYZ. Again, the importance of this Chrome extension is going to make more sense to you once you get to the other training that we're going to have upcoming about managing your technology. And then if you wanted to disable it, you could disable it on here. I wanted to, just show my news feed for 5-10 minutes if you have some purpose to do so. But I'll be honest, 99.99999% of the time, I just have it eradicating the news feeds all the time for me. Okay. So that is the Newsfeed Eradicator. And then obviously they have a bunch of other, you can mess around with the quotes and all that kind of stuff. There's some settings if you want to play with those. Finally, the last one on here is going to be Video Speed Controller. And what Video Speed Controller does is it basically adds a little toolbar right here at the top left of all of the videos that you watch across the entire internet. And what that does is it allows you to speed up, slow down, or go forward or backwards by 5 seconds on any video. Okay, now some videos are automatically going to have this and some videos are not. So let me show you an example here, right? So I'm going to go over here to one of our training portals. Okay, I'm going to open up, let's say, one of the trainings, and you'll see here at the top left, it's going to have this speed controller. And so I can click on plus to go faster. And sometimes you might want to speed my voice up and you want to go through this faster, or you can slow it down. And then on top of that, there's some hotkeys that you can use. So you can see here is there's SD, X, V, and Z. So you'll see here on my keyboard, you can't see my keyboard right now, but pay attention to that 1.90. If I hit D multiple times, you see it speeds it up. And if I hit S multiple times, you can see I can slow it down as well. And then if I hit the X key, you'll see how it jumps forward in time, right? And then if I hit the Z key, it goes backwards in time. So you can do that off of your keyboard and do things much, much faster. Again, in the online income world, when you use the computer faster, you make more money. And that's why we are teaching you these things. So that way you can go faster through training, slow training down if you have to. I'm telling you, I've been using this for probably over half a decade, if not maybe a decade at this point. And this tool is absolutely non-negotiable. It's an absolute lifesaver, and it's definitely something that you need to use. Okay, so make sure you download that. It will be installed on there, and then you will see it on all of the videos. So with that being said, let's go ahead and jump back into the main training. All right, welcome back. So that was the training on Chrome extensions and Chrome browser extensions as a whole. It's going to be very important for you to understand that. So that is a tool in your tool belt as you make a six-figure career online. Next up, let's go ahead and talk about some quick miscellaneous topics before we close out this training. Real quick, you might have heard, what kind of phone should I use, Android or Apple? It doesn't matter. Honestly, it's just preference. I've switched back and forth between the years between them. I personally like Android. Apple works great as well. Not a big deal, okay? If you are going to be exposed to the Apple ecosystem, right? Especially if you're going to be getting a MacBook and kind of going through there, right? So every tool in the tool belt, we talked about Chrome, Google, G Suite, Gmail. That's great for online base, but in terms of hardware, for me personally, I have found that Apple computers are the best in terms of hardware. In terms of software, we primarily use everything on Google. So for Apple terminology, which you should know, a lot of people get this confused. Apple is the name of the company. iPhone is the name of the phone brand. iOS is the name of the phone operating system, right? The operating system is what is installed on the hardware, right? That's the operating system. It's a software. Mac is the name of the computer brand, okay? And then Mac OS, Mac operating system, is the computer software, the computer operating system that runs on Mac, okay? And so those are just some quick jargon. Obviously, there's a lot of other jargon related to technology, but these are just the fundamentals that we want to make sure you completely understand in your journey of making an income online and just absolutely crushing it, okay? Now, next up, let's go ahead and talk about your action steps, okay? So a couple different action steps that we got on here, okay? We're gonna go ahead and go through these. Number one, you wanna go ahead and evaluate your computer setup, right? Does it meet the needs that you need it to do? If not, go ahead and ask for advice in the student community, and then we can go ahead and point you in the right direction because it's such an important decision, okay? Evaluate, do you already have a Google account Gmail? If so, great job. You can mark this off as complete. If not, you wanna make sure that you go ahead and create one so that way you're set up properly. Number three, do you already have a Google Chrome browser installed, right? If yes, great job. Mark it off as complete. If not, make sure that you do go ahead and download it. Number four, if you already have existing bookmarks, right? Maybe you were listening to this training, you already had bookmarks existing, then you want to make sure that you clean them up and really just delete as many as you can so that way you can start fresh, okay? What you also want to go ahead and do is you want to create a bookmark, a browser bookmark for the Remote Wellness Academy training portal. So that way it's very easy for you to be able to get into the training. And then finally, you want to go ahead and make sure that you download the 3 non-negotiable Chrome extensions that we talked about, because those are going to be very, very important tools in your tool belt in your journey of making an income online. Okay, awesome. Now let's go ahead and talk about your student community post and comment for this section. The question is going to be, where is there opportunity for you to learn about technology, right? What do you need help with when it comes to technology, right? What do you think you're going to be struggling with? Where do you think your biggest struggles are going to be? Or if you feel like, hey, you know what, I've been a tech wizard my entire life and I don't really need any help with that, let us know as well, right? That lets us know that you're not going to be needing as much technology help. But even then, there's probably something that you need to learn. So just let us know and just curious to get your thoughts on that. Remember, this is your opportunity to engage. We and the other students love to hear from you. And on the next training, we're going to go ahead and continue on our journey of setting up your foundations. And remember, these foundations are absolutely critical because without them, it's impossible to be able to build an income online and create the life that you deserve. So I will catch you on the next training.